Hi, this is Dan Ross from Silicon Valley Hypnosis Center. Welcome. Today I want to talk to you about acceptance. Not only being accepted by other people, but how to accept yourself. Because if you've ever not been accepted, you might really know how that feels. Like maybe you were a child and you did something and your parents just didn't make it okay for you to do whatever you did. It could have been something really big or it could have been something really simple. Or it could have just been you always kind of felt like there was maybe something just a little bit wrong with you because of something you said or did or just the way you were. Or it could be as an adult, maybe you're in a partnership or relationship, or there's some situation at work, or just you're around some people and you just don't quite feel accepted by someone. You know, you do something and you get that frown or something like that. So that can all contribute to this kind of belief that a person is not okay the way they are. And on the flip side, if you were to imagine what it would be like to be totally accepted, regardless of what mood you were in, what emotions you were showing, how you showed up, what you did, that, you know, those little mistakes that can make people embarrassed or feel bad about themselves are just really totally okay. And the reason this is important is I think this is one of the first steps to be able to allow somebody to heal, especially in the type of context that of the work that I do. And there's kind of a difference between going in to see somebody who is doing some change work with you and they keep this sort of cold clinical demeanor. And yes, that does create some kind of environment for you to have whatever's going on go on, but it doesn't necessarily create this acceptance where there's really this sense of regard that no matter what you do or how you show up or what we talk about or what kind of issue you present with, it really is just okay. And when that really is okay to just have your experience and talk about in detail what was going on so that we can actually change it, that it allows things to progress, to happen that may not have happened if there wasn't this sense of acceptance. And in 20 years of doing this, I've kind of seen it all. I mean, I've seen everything from people who just want a better relationship with their boss at work, and I give them some communication skills, to people who have been through severe neglect, abuse, trauma, things like that. And again, creating this environment where it's really okay to just be who you are and have that experience, not to wallow in it, but that allows us to open up and find out what the specific situation was and then lead you out of it. And using all sorts of the different kinds of tools that I use that can allow you to reprogram in your mind that trauma or neglect or whatever it is that happened and give you a new experience in your mind of what happened. And it all starts with acceptance. And the first way to actually use this is one, just creating the environment, and two, to find out within yourself what parts of yourself you are not accepting. Because that can be a creation of a conflict or some kind of issue that can be really ongoing. If you've ever tried to get something you haven't gotten it, there's often some kind of conflict, which means there's some part of you that is doing something and another part of you that's doing something else. So when that's going on, there's often one part of you doesn't accept the other, and there's this continuous battle. I see this a lot with weight loss. So with weight loss, somebody comes in and, for example, I had a client who she would binge and she'd just eat, and she would feel good for a little bit, and then she would just beat herself up about it because, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and that was wrong, and I'm never going to lose weight. And she had these two warring parts. And the first thing I had to do was have her use this concept of acceptance, which is get in touch with the part of her that was causing the binging and find out what its positive intention was. And you might say, well, you know, some things don't have positive intention. Well, most things do if you really are curious about it and accept it. Because she'd been fighting it, the first thing we did was create the environment where we could actually communicate with this part of herself that had created this part that was binging. And by the way, this is based on the work of Dr. Virginia Satir, who was one of the most effective and well-known therapists of the last century. A lot of people sought her out to do this kind of miracle work on family and individual therapy. She called it parts work. So I use this with this client to get in touch with the part of her that had been creating this binging part. And we found that its positive intention was to keep her safe. So when I eat, I can feel safe. You know, I can get some comfort from it. And when we actually had allowed her to get in touch with that positive intention, it stopped that war, because she had been doing this for years and years and years. Binge, beat yourself up, binge, beat yourself up. And then it became, okay, what can this part do for her that would help keep her safe, but wouldn't do it in a way that is destructive to other ways of her health? And we helped that part see that, yes, it would keep her safe in some ways, but in other ways, it's actually destroying her health and possibly shortening her life and leading to a lower quality of life. So when we enrolled that part, when we accepted it and befriended it and found its positive intention, what it was trying to do for her, that it kind of could relax and feel heard and take on its new job to help her feel safe in more positive and constructive ways. So we gave this part this new job, and it allowed her to really transform what was going on with her. So I have an assignment for you, which is think of some place where you would want to accept yourself more, or you haven't been accepting yourself. And we're not doing that to just say, well, let's just give up and we don't have to make any changes. It's actually the first step in making the change. So this is that place of and, where it's you accept yourself and you want something better, right? It's if you think about a 6-year-old who might not be able to read a whole bunch of words, you accept all of the capabilities that they have around reading, right? They may have a vocabulary of just a few hundred words, and you want to invite the next step for them. And that's what I'm asking for you, is find some part of you haven't been accepting and find out what its positive intention is. What is it trying to get for you that's more important than the actual behavior that it's doing? And just do that in service of what is the next step that you could take. So go ahead and do that. And then I will have more videos on this subject. I'm going to talk in more detail about positive intention in a future video.